My name's Dylan Campbell and this is Chasing Cars. Today we're in the tropical paradise that is the ex-Holden Lang Lang Proving Ground here in Victoria to drive this. It's a new hybrid SUV called the Sealion 6 from Chinese manufacturer Build Your Dreams, and it's set to become a major headache for the Japanese manufacturers here in Australia. So BYD is going to offer two variants of the Sealion 6 here in Australia. There'll be a base model with a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated inline-4 and a single electric motor, and an upper spec variant with dual electric motors and a turbocharged 1.5 litre that both can run as series hybrid, parallel hybrid and full dedicated EV with up to 95 kilometres of EV only range, which is very impressive. So both variants come with an 18.3 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate blade battery from BYD, and they're both plug-in hybrids. BYD makes a big deal about being able to recharge this car from flat to full pretty much overnight using a 240 volt wall outlet at home. So this SUV is bigger than a Toyota RAV4, it's bigger than a Mitsubishi Outlander, and BYD claims an impressive 1100 kilometres of total range using the petrol engine and that BYD blade battery. In this video, we're going to take the Sealion 6 for a drive, deliver some initial thoughts before a proper verdict at the end. And of course, if you haven't already, hit subscribe and that notification bell to make sure you never miss out on a high quality car review from us here at Chasing Cars. Let's get to it.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car. Brought to you by
BYD will offer two powertrain options for the Sealion 6. A 1.5 litre naturally aspirated inline-4 and a 1.5 litre turbocharged inline-4. Both engines run on the Atkinson cycle and are capable of up to 43% thermal efficiency, claims BYD. Both engines are mated to electric motors offering three different drive modes. There's full EV mode with no internal combustion and a series hybrid mode using the engine as basically a generator. There's also a parallel hybrid mode where the engine can directly power the wheels during overtaking and towing. Welcome to the front seat of the Sealion 6, and I've got to say it's actually a really impressive place to be. It doesn't have the weird gym-themed kind of interior vibe that the Atto 3 has. This is a much more mature place to find yourself. There's lots of soft touch plastics. We've got a dual phone chargers here. We've got a massive central screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And of course, a party trick with lots of BYD models is you can swivel the screen. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that because the screen kind of obscures your forward vision a little bit, but it's fun to play around with kind of once or twice. And yeah, there are going to be two color options for the Sealion 6. We've got this sort of white, grey, blue interior here, but you can also get black and brown, which is very interesting. Lots of standard equipment. You get heads-up display, digital instrument cluster, panoramic sunroof. It's the usual deal. The standard equipment list is really, really long. But yeah, a really nice place to be. The price is also predictably very sharp. The base dynamic is $48,990 before on-road costs, while the turbocharged all-wheel drive premium is $52,990. That puts it right amongst the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. It also undercuts its closest plug-in hybrid rival, the Mitsubishi Outlander, by quite some margin. Another big question is, of course, fuel economy. We were not able to test the car's economy during the launch, but BYD claims total range of up to 1,100 kilometres. Certainly, the claim to 81 to 92 kilometres of electric-only range is good by plug-in hybrid standards. All right, so we're behind the wheel of the Sealion 6, and you start it up, typical electric vehicle fare. It's dead silent. Put it in a drive and move away, and it's just like any electric car. It's very, very quiet. So I have driven this car a bit today here at the Proving Ground, and first impressions are very good. The first thing you notice is it's quite softly sprung. So going over bumps, the ride quality is very good, and you get that lovely instant quiet electric motor torque from down in the throttle, exactly like an electric car or a lot of EVs. And it is very quiet. The engine is surprisingly quiet. Even under full throttle, put your foot down, you can't really hear the engine, which is really impressive. Often with cars like this, it's the engine that's really loud and thrashy, and you can feel it through the car when you put your foot down. But not in this. It's very, very quiet and refined. BYD claims this thing will do 0 to 100 in 5.9 seconds, which does seem a little bit ambitious, maybe with a strong tailwind down a slight incline. but it does have pretty good grunt. If you put your foot down, you get that instant sort of torque from the electric motor, which does give it some overtaking ability. And when you put it in a certain hybrid mode, the engine can power the wheels directly for things like overtaking and towing. Even dynamically, it's not too bad. There is a sport mode, which kind of sharpens the throttle response up a little bit. And it can flow through corners with a little bit of fluidity, although you do notice, again, the suspension is definitely tuned for ride comfort rather than handling. But it's not too bad dynamically. The steering is very light, it doesn't have much feel, but that's obviously for driving around in the urban environment rather than on a winding road. But I have to say, yeah, first impressions are very good for how the Sealion 6 drives. Now, if I put it into dedicated EV mode and put my foot down, it's hard to tell if the engine's kicking in or not. That could just be the electric motors, which is a massive compliment for this vehicle. On the whole though, this is just a really easy SUV to drive. I love how smooth it feels, how quiet it is, the response from the electric motors. The ride quality is good, the steering's nice and light, and even the controls feel good. And I have to say, cars like this from Chinese manufacturers, we've often loved to sort of hate on them for their dynamics and being a little bit crude and stuff like that. But they've reached a level of refinement now and even ability dynamically and in the urban environment that rivals Japanese manufacturers. So if you were looking at a Japanese hybrid of some sort, you absolutely would give this a look as well. I mean, I'm even sort of struggling a little bit for criticisms for the Sealion 6, which is a very big compliment. Over some of the rougher roads here at the proving ground, it did feel a little bit underdamped in its suspension. The suspension being quite soft, it sort of felt to be kind of like bobbing around a little tiny bit. But if that's the worst nit I can pick with this thing, it's doing pretty well for itself, I have to say. We did get to sample the Sealion 6's ADAS on the open road highway bowl here at the proving ground, and it was very good. Car tracks nice and confidently in its lane, enough for you to consider taking your hands off the steering wheel if you wanted to. But yeah, very good cruise control in this, adaptive cruise control. And curiously, in this car at least, the ADAS still works even with the cruise control off if you wanted to. So yeah, fascinating feature of the Sealion 6. So obviously this has been a very limited encounter of the Sealion 6 here at the ex-Holden proving ground. And I have to say, we have to reserve judgment until we get the car out into the real world, into the urban environment, in traffic, and at the Chasing Cars test track. But for now though, my hunch is it will perform very, very well. It's a very good first impression indeed. Obviously another thing we can test when we get this thing out into the real world is the economy. Very hard to say what the economy is like driving it around a proving ground, but that is the big question mark at this stage. And based on how it's performed here today, the economy figures that BYD claims are probably pretty accurate, I would say. So there you have it, the Build Your Dreams Sealion 6, a very good first impression for this hybrid SUV. Now, we'll do a proper in-depth test when we can get it back to Chasing Cars HQ, but for now, I'm really impressed with how it drives. Very quiet, very smooth, and it feels really well built. It's certainly going to be a big headache for the Japanese car makers here in Australia. Now, of course, if you loved this video, leave a like and hit subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave us a comment. Would a hybrid SUV like this tempt you away from something like the Mitsubishi Outlander or Toyota RAV4? But for now though, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.